Learning a new set can be very overwhelming, so to help you with that, I have 10 openers that I'll be taking you guys through today that are the most common. And the goal of today's video is to teach you guys where, some early game itemization, where those items are supposed to go. And really, it's just about teaching you guys the early and mid game trait webs. This is not really about board strength. However, I may talk a little bit about board strength. And something to note is I will not be including any 3 costs in these comps. That is a different video for a different time, talking about 3 cost drops. Today's video, I just want to give you guys the most common openers, the most replayable stuff that you'll see, and how to navigate that. If you guys don't know who I am, I have been playing TFT since set 1. I am a 7-time challenger player on the North American server, the greatest server in the world, and I've been making educational content since set 4. I almost said set 7. With that out of the way, let's do this. First one is the Eldritch opener, and this is going to be one of the more powerful openers for the majority of the set. I know I just said I don't want to talk about board strength, but this is a summon trait Eldritch is, and summon traits are always designed to be powerful in the early game unless they really tune down the numbers. So expect for this to be strong the majority of the set. And so the most general opener that you'll have is going to be Nyla, Elise, Ash will be your drops here. And if you have 80 items, you will play around Ash, and that is going to be easier to do because you can move into Multistriker warriors, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you have an AP drop and a Syndra, like a Spear of Sojin or something like that, then you just swap out the Ash and run a Syndra. And you can run any shapeshifter here. I have Jace here because it is just the easier 1 to 2 star. But if you want to run a Shyvana for more frontline, that is going to be amazing. So let's talk about Jace here a little bit. The reason I have Jace here, again, he is going to be the most common to upgrade whenever you're doing this opener, but also it can take you into some options. So you have some options here because we're obviously going to want to add multi-strikers for our Ash to carry, and we want to add a warrior for our Nyla to carry, right? And the cool thing is Jace is a portal and a shapeshifter, so naturally slots in for our shapeshifter, right? But then also we have Kassadin, who is a shapeshifter and a multi-striker. And so a very common way to play this out is to add this guy. He is a portal, so now we're 2 out of 3 portal, right? And we additionally add, what is her name? Akali. We add Akali as well. Now we have warrior, multi-striker, and we're 2 out of 3 portal. So if we were to get a random emblem from a charm or something like that, that could be something we could play around. Or if not, we could just add a random portal. It's a very good splash trait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or this is 6 units here. And so if you wanted to go something like fast 8, you could just add a portal unit in here to go fast 8. And then you could transition into like Callista and maybe a Fiora carry or something like that with these Nyla items. Additionally, you can always just reroll warriors if that is meta on the current patch. So you can take this opener into a reroll warrior multi-striker type setup where you reroll Nyla, Akali, and Ash potentially. And you can reroll something like a Kassadin or something like that as well. That is an angle for you. Next up is a very similar opener, and this is the Multistriker opener. So we're not playing around Eldritch in this one, Multistriker, and we're going to be playing Zildog. At the time of making this video, I really like this opener. I love playing around Multistrikers because Callista is really strong. Very strong carry right now, very consistent carry. People really like playing her. And I personally think Zilean is one of the best units just in terms of unit value in the game because he has a lot of damage. He has AoE, he has stuns, and he has 3 traits, and he is a 2 cost. So I think he's just kind of a beast. So Chrono isn't really the best trait to run in the early game. It's just kind of whatever. It's more valuable later on in the game, but a 20% heal is quite nice if you can keep your Jax alive up to the Chrono proc. Can be very good because, again, it happens kind of late into the fight. But this Zilean unit is just such high value that it's pretty worth running Chrono, and Jax is very tanky. If you don't know, Jax is kind of like Yasuo from last set. He can deal damage, but he scales more off of his tankiness. So if you had a setup like this, if you had something like a Rage Weight or something like that, definitely would go on Ash, and then you'd put your tank items onto Jax. If you somehow natural to Kassadin too, you could look for a Kassadin carry angle with like BT Rage Blade, something like that, or a Spark, something like that. Can be very good for him. If you get AP items, do not be afraid to throw them on Zilean. He is a beast, and if you need to replace your Zilean later on in the game, you only need 1 copy of Zilean later on in the game to get a lot of value. So if you need to put AP items on Zilean, do not be afraid to do that. And then from here, we can just go into vertical multi-striker if we're going to be playing around Ash. If we're playing around Zilean, we can get a lot more flex and do some weird frost stuff and stuff like that. Add a Bard here and, get out a multi-striker and add a Rumble to get you Sugarcraft and Blaster, and then add a Hui to give you Frost and Blaster. That's like an angle you can look at. But yeah, so either look to win an opener like this. If you have Ash items, vertical multi-striker, go into, or just go transition into Callista. Or if you have Zilean, you're going to have to get a little bit more creative with it if you're going to be carrying Zilean. And next up is the Honeymancy opener. And at the time of making this video, this is one of the stronger openers. I don't end up playing this one a lot When I play in AP lines, I'm normally playing more around Mage and Portal, that sort of thing, and Scholar, just what I prefer. But I have seen a lot of people talk about this opener being very strong, so I just wanted to mention that real quick. So this is going to be when you have like a Ziggs and a Blitzcrank 2-star opener, which is going to be nice. Yeah, and so this is 3 Honeymancy, 2 Bastion, 2 Incanter, 2 Witchcraft. So I have 5 units on the board because I just wanted to show the natural progression of what you would add. Now, obviously, you can play any Honeymancy unit. You don't have to play both of the frontliners, but ideally, you'd want to play both of the frontliners and not Kog'Maw back here. Kog'Maw can give your backline some utility, which is cool. Kog'Maw can buff your Cassio, which is cool. But on stage 2, you just really need a lot more frontline. Later on, you could consider dropping one of these guys for something like a Kog'Maw, or just dipping more in the Honeymancy if you wanted to reroll or something like that. That is an angle that you could do. But this is just naturally the team that you would want to run. Your 2 frontline Honeymancy units with the Ziggs upgraded, add the Cassio for Incanter, add Poppy for Bastion and Witchcraft, and you're going to be good to go. And then from here, just add a Vanguard, and your options are pretty good. Usually you'll end up adding either Galio or Rumble whenever you do that, because both of these guys have 3 traits, and that just gives you a lot of options here. And so you can add that there and then kind of go from there, transition to a 4-cost AP comp, or, you could just reroll the Honeymancies. Next up is going to be the Faerie Witchcraft opener, and this is when you're going to be playing more around Seraphine. I think Seraphine's unit quality is so good because she has so much AoE, especially once you get Mage active, it can be quite strong. So in this opener, we're just going to be utilizing the 2/2/2 traits here: Bastion, Faerie, Witchcraft, and these units are all pretty good in value. So these guys are pretty tanky up here. They're going to be your tanks, obviously. And then Seraphine, if you can get healing reduction and a mana gain on her, she is extremely powerful. And Zoe can help shred for you, get that early game shred for you, can be quite nice. And then whenever you're filling out this team, naturally it's going to be very simple. You just add a, where's the guy? Galio? Where's he at? Where's Deja at? Where's he at? Galio. We add Galio up here, and now we are 2 out of 3 Mage, 2 out of 3 Portal, and that gives us a lot of options here. So add whoever you need to do this. Obviously, if you high roll a Rise on stage 3, that just really sets your team up for success. But if you're carrying the Seraphine, you're usually going to want to add a Mage. So just add whatever Mage you need to add, whatever. You can be good to go. Additionally, you could consider adding a Rumble or something like that. But Sugarcraft is really something you want to be stacking if you're actually going to play around those units as a carry. But this is a natural progression. Just add a Galio, then plus a Mage or plus a Portal, and you'll be good to go. All right, and here we have the Dragon Hunter opener, and this is going to be a Nomsy or Twitch carry, just whoever you have upgraded, and then have a Shyvana with some health items on here. Can be some very decent frontline, and maybe have an upgraded Elise, whatever. So when you have this opener, just something to know: Nomsy and Twitch are both AD casters. They're very good item holders for Varus, even though they don't share a trait with Varus. They're just really they like to use the same items, and then Kog'Maw likes to use the same items. The 2 later hunters in this tree don't like to use it. Don't like to use the caster items. They are auto attack based hunters, but it's fine, because if you build these caster style items, you're just at the same time you'd be rolling for the 4-cost hunters, you'd be rolling for Varus. So usually whenever you have this opener, you want to look to play Varus just to use the items better. But if you end up slamming things like Rageblade and stuff like that, then you can have a natural progression into hunters where you can item stack Nomsy with stuff like Rageblade and that sort of thing. Swap out the Nomsy later for a Jinx if you want to, or just wait all the way for your Olaf to do some Rageblade tech Olaf, something like that. So that's kind of what you want to be looking for with this type of opener. But naturally, what we're going to transition to whenever we're doing this is a Frost mid game is going to be very easy, because we just drop this dude and we add in our big ol' Soigné. Where's he at? Swain. There's Swain. Add Swain up in this bit, and then we can add whoever we want. Hui in the mid game. We can add a Rumble for some frontline, and then level 7, we just natural Tom Kench or something like that. And this can be a reasonable frontline to get you to level 8, something like that. A natural progression, and then you can swap out for a Varus or something like that if you built items in this way. And next up is the Mage Soraka based opener. So this is 3 Mage, 2 Sugarcraft, 2 Vanguard. So this is when you natural the Rumble and the Galio. Makes it really easy to play around some of this stuff right here. And so you see I have the items on Soraka. This is just assuming Soraka is the one you upgraded. She can use the same items as Seraphine. What's cool is Soraka, Seraphine, and Nami, they all use the same itemization very well. They're all good Morello users. They're all good Sojin users. And so that's just a really good setup, because you can put items on whoever you have upgraded and then just transition those naturally to RE later on in the game. Now, additionally, you could obviously reroll Soraka if you have a Sugarcraft emblem, and just something to know: if you play Sugarcraft, you want to have 4 Sugarcraft active as early as possible so you can start getting those stacks. And something that's nice about this is that if you do itemize Soraka and you do think you're going to play on Sugarcraft, maybe Bard becomes meta, reroll Bard becomes meta, something like that. And then you can use this transition into Sugarcraft, because you can get some stacks on your Soraka if you put that there. In which case, if you're trying to plan for that, you would want to put your tank items onto Rumble and not Galio. But If not, Galio is probably the tankier one because he's getting Mage active and he can double apply his spell, which is nice. So he keeps his durability up for a while. If you have to choose where to put items at the time of making this video, you have to choose where to put items between Straka and Seraphine. You have them both upgraded. If you don't think you're going to do the Sugarcraft angle, I would definitely put the items on Seraphine. I just think her unit quality is so much higher because of her AoE, especially with the items like Morello and stuff like that. I just think she's very, very, very valuable. But the counterpart to that is Soraka gives you a lot of frontline, so that's nice. And so from here, you know, we have a lot of options here. We can add a Faerie unit in here. So if we end up wanting to play, I don't know, like a Tristana, just a little bit of CC or something like that, or just like a Bastion for frontline. So let's see, where's the Lilia? No. Okay, you guys always look the same. I don't know, you could do something like this, just add that in here and then add a random Bastion, whatever. You could do something like that. That's a play you can do. You could dip more into your verticals, which is like, that's a really common strategy, especially if you have Mage opener. Mage emblem can make this a lot easier. So you could just dip into your verticals with that one. And what's the other one? And Vanguard. And, you know, you could also, you know, consider if you didn't build Morello and something like that, you just have a Sojin, you could consider if you have to roll mid game, you know, re-rolling Vex and Vanguard or something like that, going into that, or just natural progression, just building your team out, vertical mages, and then going and swapping this out for Nami can be a good way to go as well. And next up is the Frost Vanguard opener. So this is when you have an upgraded Twitch and you're going to want to play carry items on Twitch, and you have like an upgraded Warwick or something like that. So that's going to be your frontliner. Yeah, and you can play whoever you want here for a Vanguard. Generally, Rumble is going to be the better one because naturally you can push into 5 Frost with Blaster. It's going to be really easy. Just add the Frost units and you'll be good to go. That can be an easy level 6 right there. So yeah, so this is when you have the Twitch opener right here. A level 4 that you can, or a level 5 that you can have, obviously can be Hunter before you add Hui. I think 5 Frost would be better than 2 Hunter. So yeah, you can obviously add, where's Namzi at? Obviously you can just add Namzi here, and then you could do what we did earlier where you swap out the front line for like a Swain and a Shyvana if you got those, and you could play around that. That's of course a thing that you can do. Additionally, if you wanted to carry Zillion here, you could totally carry Zillion, and you could put the items on Zillion. Like, you know, if you don't have an upgraded Twitch, put a Sojin on your Zillion or whatever, and you have AP items, and then you could, you know, look for an upgraded Jax, something like that, and then you could totally get out of this build. You could go more into like multi-strikers or something like that, or you could stay around Frost, that's fine. But you can add Jax because he's a decent frontline just on his own. He doesn't need his other traits active, and he gives you Chrono, and so that's something you can look for as well. And so if you end up building items like this, you know, obviously you're going to end up wanting to play something like Varus, unless you're going to reroll or something like that. It's usually what you're going to want to look for there. If you end up building AP items on Zillion, you know, you natural progression would be into Karma or Nami. It'll be the natural progression with the itemizations you'd had set up there. Rise doesn't really use the Mage caster style item, so that's just something to note there. And next up here, it's kind of like a repeat. It's a Multistriker Eldritch opener. I just wanted to show you guys what it would look like if you maybe are naturaling items like this, maybe get an augment like where you get the extra Sterix Gauge or something like that. If you're getting dropped like 2 Akali's or a double Nyla at the beginning of the game, I just wanted to show you guys this because you can just add the Akali at the beginning of the game and not forsake Eldritch. Maybe your level 4 opener is Ashe, Akali, Nyla, Kassadin. That can be like some setup for you if you think your Akali is going to actually carry. Usually, I mean, this is very meta dependent. Usually it's best to just always run Eldritch unless you upgrade other units. I think it'll be stronger. Just the unit value of having the extra, you know, golem on your map is very, very good for you. But just to note, if you have items to play something like Akali and you're paired up, then you can totally itemize Akali and play more around like this core of 4, and then Elise is your level 5. But generally, if you have the option to itemize Akali and you have a Nyla, then you can just put the items on Nyla and then run the Elise and run the Akali for Warrior and just don't run the Kassadin. So that's something to think there. And then you would obviously want to put your Last Whisper on your Ashe back here. It's just kind of how I always want to do it. She has some AoE, and then naturally you can just swap her out for Callista. I just wanted to show this one because, you know, there's definitely like Akali or Akali Warrior reroll and Multistriker reroll has been something that's been meta for a lot of the PvE cycle. I can't guarantee that it'll be meta when you're watching this video or anything like that, but I just wanted to show this because it is a very common strategy on the PvE right now. And next up is a more Chrono Zillion style opener. You know, this would be something you want to look for, especially if you like, you know, Zillion's just a really high quality unit. Maybe you have an upgraded Jax, like that would be really nice, and just like a random upgraded Warwick. Like this could be an opener to definitely look for just because of Zillion's like high unit value. And I think Jax has high unit value. I know I talked about Chrono's not super value, but I just think their unit value is so high. And just having an opener like this gives you really natural progression because you have Frost and Blaster if you play Rumble. It's very easy. You can just add in a Hui here. At the time I'm making this video, Hui carry is not that good, but if Hui carry was good, you can itemize Zillion with the same items that you want to put on Hui, which is going to be like a Sojin, Sojin Archangel JG, something like that. It's very good items on Hui. Also, healing reduction can be fine on Hui as well. It's great on Zillion. It's okay on Hui. So natural progression would be, you can reroll Zillion, or you can just remake the Zillion, move the items over to Hui, maybe do some Hui tech, maybe just push in the Frost, or just item hold these guys all the way up until you want to play, your big AP casters like Nami and Karma. And, if you build a Shiv type setup with a Sojin, you can still play Rise. You can be good to go. So yeah, this is going to be a really common setup for this one. And last up is going to be the Tristana Blaster opener. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I haven't had a chance to play this opener. I just never have the angle to play Tristana. I've been leaning a lot more AP right now. Been trying to learn all the AP trees as much as I can. But this one seems pretty good to me. And this is when you have this type of opener, and you'll play these exact units whenever you play these 5 units, and you'll be good to go because it gives you Mage, Blaster, Faerie, Sugarcraft, Vanguard, just really clean synergies here. And if you're wondering about Tristana, why I'm positioning her in this way, so Tristana is an 80 caster, so that's why she's going to be a better Infinity Edge user. Just some rules of thumb if you guys don't know. The units that you want to cast a lot and deal a lot of damage with their cast, generally going to be Infinity Edge users. Think something like Varus, think something like Tristana. You want her cast to deal a lot of damage. And then units where their auto attacks are going to deal more of the damage is going to be the auto attack based champions. You want to use Deathblade because they're doing more of their damage just by hitting things, and your regular auto attacks can crit anyways. So that's why Deathblade is usually better on those, and then Caster's IE is better. So Tristana is a caster, and so if you second row her, she actually has CC, and it knocks them back, and that's kind of nice. So if you want to play Tristana, I think second rowing her is going to be a very powerful strategy. In the early game, you might just want to put her back here just so she's the last one left alive with the items. But, it's going to be some tech to figure out. But I think a best in slot would be something that looks similar to this: Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, and a Hand of Justice. Additionally, I could definitely see some BT, Gunblade, or some Edge of Night tech. So look out for that. And anyways, guys, I believe this is my last opener. I hope this was helpful to you all. And if you did learn something, then hey, like this video, subscribe, and then give me a follow on Twitch. I'm really trying to grow my Twitch, guys. I'm streaming a lot now, and I would really appreciate to see you guys there. Anyways, that's it. I'll see you on the next one.